Hello everybody, Firefall's here, coach of the Pancham Pianists, and we're back for VBL-S Season 15, woo! This is the Daddy Plan Part 2, last season was Part 1. It was just a normal regulation H board, so no legendary Pokemon, no Paradox Pokemon, but this season is diabolical. The way this draft has worked is that any Mon that was used last season more than 3 times, if it was drafted on one side of the conference, or one of the conferences, or if it was used 5 or more times in combined across conferences, then it was banned. Not allowed to be drafted again off the board. So most of the top tiers are gone. A lot of the lower top tiers are gone as well. What we were left with was basically scraps of a draft board to craft a team out of. This has been the most difficult draft I've ever done, and also one of the most fun. So let's talk about it. Our team theme here is drinks. So our catchphrase right now is, you can't spell team without T. Let's talk about the draft. Was there a challenge? Drafting itself was a challenge. I did have a challenge in mind that I wasn't fully committed to at the start. Based on my first 2 picks, Blaziken and Seraperior, which we'll see later, they both have mixed attack stats, so I was thinking maybe my challenge could be every mon on my team could have mixed attack and special attack, or defense, just basically 2 attacking stats. There were not enough Pokemon like that on this board to make that a reality, so I dropped that pretty quickly. Let's talk about all the snipes that happened. I was sniped, I believe, 8 major times on this board, and 4 minor times. That's far more than I normally get sniped. I normally get sniped maybe 3 times on a normal board. This board was ludicrously packed. Everyone was fighting for the same mons. I believe Camo Dude said that they were sniped something like 16 times, which is just ridiculous. It would be bewildering to me if there was a single coach in this entire league that did not get sniped at least once on this board. I chose to prioritize synergy well over the type chart this time. I personally believe that synergy is more important in drafting a team than the type chart to begin with. But on a board like this, where you're inevitably going to end up having to pick either Pokemon that feed into your weaknesses, or maybe not the best types that cover, or Pokemon that cover your weaknesses of their type, I kind of decided to ignore that. I just went full synergy. My type chart doesn't look too bad. It's certainly not the best it's ever been, but I think the synergy that I have made is very good, and I'm excited to use it. Stat-wise, I've managed to balance my physical and special attack pretty well. I'm a little more physically biased. My speed is pretty fantastic in terms of its range across the board. I have some fast mons, I have some slow mons, I have some in the middle. My physical defense is very good. My special defense, however, is lacking. So I'm definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that and build accordingly. A lot of people realized as the draft continued on that they were not going to be able to spend all their points because all the top tiers went fast. There are some coaches who had something like I think Jace had 14 points left over, and I think Ploppy had something like 34 points left over. I only ended up with 2. I did a more top-heavy draft, and I'm glad I did, because in the end, everything just kind of fell into place with what was left. But I know that a lot of people struggled with using their points the best way that they could this draft. We'll talk about team strengths and weaknesses a little bit later as we continue on through this, but let's get into the Pokemon themselves. Here's Cider, our Blaziken. My first pick, this thing has enormous offensive pressure. Off the bat, 120 attack, 110 special attack. This thing hits hard and it hits both sides. You cannot prep completely for what it's going to do, because it could hit you with a mixed set, or it could just go all in on one side that you're not expected for. Speed Boost is an amazing ability. It means that as long as Blaziken is on the field, it remains a constant threat. That makes this thing an amazing lead. It forces opponents to try to call out Protect, because oftentimes you'll Protect so you can get your Speed Boost, but if they expect that and attack with your partner Pokemon, you can just not click Protect and get a free Swords Dance or Flare Blitz or something off. Fire typing is also pretty rare on this board. There are not a lot of great fire types. Blaziken is maybe the best. This thing also has scary coverage. It has, mostly in what I'm talking about, that is its flying type coverage. It has Brave Bird. And flying type is very threatening in this board, because we do not have very many steel types. We do not have very many rock types. So flying kind of goes unresisted. There are some electric types here and there, but for the most part, I think it's something like 25 out of 32 teams in the entire league are weak to flying type, which is kind of crazy. Let's talk about our second pick, a natural synergy to Blaziken, Matcha, our superior. Mrs. Pianist is obsessed with Matcha, so I had to make sure that I got that name in. 113 speed is fantastic. It's actually faster than almost all of the format. It's faster than most of the Tailwind users. You only have a couple that are naturally faster. Glare is amazing, hits ground types as well, 100% accuracy with its paralysis. If I don't want Tailwind going up, if it's lower than Superior, then I can Glare and I can just attack it with my partner Pokemon, right? Of course, if we're talking about Superior, we have to talk about Contrary. Contrary is a busted ability. After one Leaf Storm, I'm at 150 special attack, basically. Well, that's not quite how it starts, but my special attack is doubled. I also have Terra Stellar, Terra Blast. I can go physical or special. My team has a lot of stat dropping moves that used on Superior raises its viability. And has a solid defensive profile. Typing not the best, but we can always Terra to get out of that. And then it is just a natural pair to Blaziken. I think pledges are going to be very good in this format, and these two are perhaps the best pledge duo out there. Fun little tech I found. Blaziken outspeeds Superior after one turn. So if Superior can get a Leaf Storm off, boosts its special attack, and if Blaziken uses Fire Pledge, Superior is the one using the attack. That's, just gonna nuke anything. 150 base power, it's crazy. CF Fire is great too. Removes all focus sashes, chips things down, gets KOs. Yeah, let's go. Here we have Punch, our Flamigo. Like I said, flying type is very good, and fighting is great coverage for what flying can't hit. It hits nearly everything in the format. And Scrappy just adds on to that. No ghost type can stand in this thing's way. But what I'm more excited about is Co-Star. Flamigo's signature ability, which raises its stats to copy whatever partner Pokemon is on your team when it comes in. This pairs really well with Blaziken. Naturally my speed just goes up every turn. Swords Dance capabilities. I have Superior, which is boosting its attack and special attack with Terra Blast. Anything that I use to trigger Contrary also can be boosted here. So if I use something like let's say Bulldoze to lower opponent's speed and raise Superior, now Flamigo can copy that when it comes in. And of course, Shift Gear from Reverie is very potent. And then, of course, it also gets Tailwind. It doesn't have to come in at the end and sweep. It can be a lead Pokemon. It can hit incredibly hard. It can set up Tailwind. I think this thing is going to be great. Potentially a Kill Eater, we'll see. Diesel is our Reverie. Like I said, Steel typing is very rare on the board. I wanted to get Skarmory my round 3, but I was sniped, which is honestly not surprising because it has amazing typing. It was a 7-pointer, which I think is probably undervalued. I think it's better than that. I think Electric saw that too, which is why that they took it. Reverie has decent physical defense, and Filter's actually pretty good, making it survive those fire type attacks that it otherwise might not, and even some ground type attacks, the weaker ones, or the coverage ones. It has a very strong attack, 119, very, very, very high. Overcoat is great for Rage Powder and Spore, and there are a lot of grass types in this format. Shift Gear, of course, is set up, and it does have some support options. It has stuff like Taunts, Bulldoze, Parting Shot, and some other things that I can't remember right now. Lemonade, Belly Bolt, our 5th pick, is the first Trick Room Mon that we're taking on this team. This thing is a monster in Trick Room. It is a threat to the flying types. It is extremely tanky. Electromorphosis is stupidly good. It basically doubles the power of its electric type attacks. And even though 103 special attack doesn't seem like the highest, when you pair it with Electromorphosis, it's very, very powerful. And this thing can also just stay around forever. It has Parabolic Charge, which saps HP from everything it hits, and it hits every Pokemon on the board, including my own. And it also has Slack Off. This thing is staying around. It's being a nuisance. It doesn't have to be in Trick Room to do, dangerous things. I'm excited to use it. Next up is Chai, our Stantler. Intimidate is always very valuable. It's two physically heavy boards, and I think this one is a little bit more physical based than it is special. Frisk is very useful as well. I have no Eviolite competition on the team. This is only an evolved Pokemon, so it doesn't have to share that with anything else. It also doesn't have to run Eviolite. I don't always want to fall into the pit trap of getting hit with Taunt, so I can run Mental Herb, I can run Iron Ball to Underspeed Belly Bolt to set up Trick Room, and then Bulldoze it for Weakness Policy. Lots of potential here, right? It also has Skill Swap, which pairs really well with Contrary on Superior if I'm running Physical Set and with my competitive mons that I have later in the team. And it can also run offensive sets. It has 95 base attack and 85 base special attack. That's not bad. With some investment, with an item, that can definitely be doing big damage. And, normal's largely unresisted because goodbye Steel, goodbye Rock. Let's talk about Horchata, our Avalugg, the other Trick Room user. Initially I wanted Avalugg Hisui, but that got taken right before me, so I went with Avalugg instead. Avalugg and Belly Bolt make a Bolt Beam core in Trick Room, and it's special and physical. So these two together, if they're ever out in Trick Room next to each other, they're going to be doing massive damage, unresisted. They're going to be very hard to deal with. This thing is super physically tanky, has Iron Defense Body Press, which is proven to be really good in low tier formats, and its 30 is very good. It also has own tempo. I could try to do some swagger confusion strats. We'll see. Excuse me. Next up is Cola, our Samurott. This is our final starter Pokemon and our final member of the Fire, Water, Grass Core. It also has mixed attack and special attack, just like our other two starter Pokemon, right? I think it's 100 and 108 respectively, right? It makes a final member of our Pledge Trio, in case I want to get Swamp or Rainbow up. Also just, powerful attacks, Pledges are, together. And by themselves, 80 is not bad. This thing has decent bulk. It's better than I expected when I took a second look at it. And it has Aqua Jet for any weakness policy plays I want to make. I have Sandaconda later on. I could do something with that. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm excited to see how this thing can fit into the team in a kind of versatile way. I initially did want Samurott Hisui, but that went before I could get it. But I'm happy that I got a pretty decent water starter Pokemon though. Let's talk about Slushy, our Meowstic female. We have our Fake Out user. And on top of that, it is a competitive user that pairs with Stantler. It has a good speed tier. It's like 103, I believe. And it has some fast support options as well. I think this thing is going to be hitting harder than people expect, especially with Stantler involved. Intimidate goes off. Suddenly, it's bulkier on the physical side, like physical defense. You got a skill swap, and now suddenly I have doubled my special attack. I'm hitting monstrously. Yeah, this thing is more dangerous than you might expect. We have our one-pointer with Wigglytuff, Lychee. I am super excited about this. It's a one-point fairy that has good synergy with my team. We have competitive, like I said, with Stantler. This thing is coming on Weekly Heat. This is a genuine Trick Room threat. It has 45 base speed. If it is in Trick Room, even if it doesn't get its Contrary off, it could be doing some decent damage, if not great damage. Fairy type is rare in this format, and there are a lot of fighting types, so I'm expecting this thing will actually put in more work than some Wigglytuff doubters, like Dr. JDB, if you're watching this, might expect. And this mod has a lot of support. I did not realize how much support this mod actually had until I took a second look at its, moveset. So I'm excited to use it. Let's go Wigglytuff. And our final pick is Mocha the Sandaconda. I initially wanted, I think it was Palossand, so I could have a ghost type on the team as well, but Sandaconda is definitely a solid ground type mon. Ground type is a very valuable offensive pressure. It pairs with Belly Bolt's spread electric attacks. Span Spit can, counter the weather for those fire, or those sun, water, or sun, rain, and snow teams in my conference. It also has Glare, and it has setup options. It has scale shot, it has coil, it has iron defense body press. It can do a lot of different things. And like I said, it naturally has the weakness policy kind of thing that it can do with Samurott, so we'll see what we end up going with. I'm excited to use it. But that's our team. Let's talk about team weaknesses. I only have one Trick Room setter, and it is weak to, fake out, taunt. It's not going to be the most reliable Trick Room setter, but I don't have to use it for Trick Room, and I'm not going to always use it for Trick Room because this thing can do a lot of different things in its versatility. I'm going to be trying to play it in different ways week to week, hoping to catch some people off guard unexpectedly. And my Trick Room core is strong enough that it can survive outside of Trick Room. And I also expect to run into teams that will set Trick Room for me, and then unexpectedly I get to send in something, and they'll be like, oh no, now what? I also have not the best special defense among all of these Pokemon. In fact, I don't think any of their special defense is particularly good. Superior might be the only one. So that is definitely a weakness that I'm going to have to look out for. But with my offensive pressure, I think I can handle it and deal with it. But yeah, that's the team. I'm excited to get into this season. And I hope to make playoffs this time and go even further. So see you next time. Peace.